The Tamron Hall Show studio in New York was a pulsating with warm lights and a lively audience roaring with anticipation as the upbeat theme music faded, ushering in a high-octane segment on a crisp October 7, 2025, afternoon. Samuel L. Jackson, the iconic actor renowned for his commanding presence and fiery delivery in films like Pulp Fiction and The Avengers, strode onto the stage in a sharp blazer and his signature Kangol cap, his intense charisma and sly grin drawing thunderous applause from the crowd, there to promote his latest action thriller The Hitman's Bodyguard 3 and reflect on his storied career. The air crackled with the promise of a dynamic interview, given Tamron Hall's reputation for empathetic yet probing journalism and Samuel's history of unfiltered, passionate responses, as seen in his 2019 Jimmy Kimmel Live appearance where he playfully roasted his Marvel co-stars with sharp wit. Tamron, seated at her stylish desk with her signature warmth, kicked things off. "Samuel, welcome to the show. Your new film's explosive, and you're a legend. How do you keep that fire after decades in Hollywood?" The audience cheered, but Samuel's smile held a subtle edge as he settled in. "Tamron, it's all about authenticity, keep it real, and the fire stays lit," he replied, his gravelly voice rich with conviction. The crowd applauded, but Tamron leaned forward, her eyes twinkling. "Authenticity. Samuel, your roles are so intense, but some say your tough guy persona, cussing and all, feels a bit overplayed. Don't you worry, it's a caricature now." The question was light but pointed, echoing unverified 2025 YouTube claims of a clash, and Samuel's eyebrows shot up. "Caricature. Tamron, my edge is my truth, fans love it, unlike some shows that play it safe," he responded, his tone firm yet playful. The audience gasped, catching the jab, and Tamron's grin tightened, her voice warm yet sharp. "Safe. Samuel, your F-bombs are legendary, but don't you think they're a crutch for shock value?" The studio buzzed with tension, and the guest co-host, a fictional comedian named Tiffany Haddish, tried to pivot. "Samuel, Hitman's Bodyguard 3 is wild, tell us about it." But Samuel held his ground. "No, Tiffany, let's address why Tamron's framing my style as a gimmick." The crowd roared, split between those who loved Samuel's fire and those who admired Tamron's poise. Tamron, undeterred, raised an eyebrow. "Gimmick? Samuel, I'm just asking what viewers think. Your tough talk's iconic, but is it always genuine?" Samuel's jaw clenched, his voice rising. "Genuine. I've been real since Jungle Fever, Tamron, not like your segments chasing viral drama." The audience cheered, some clapping for Samuel's passion, others murmuring at Tamron's persistence. The producers, watching from the control room, exchanged nervous glances. This was veering off the feel-good script, mirroring debunked YouTube tales of Jackson walking off. Tamron pressed on. "Drama. Samuel, your rants go viral, don't you see how they overshadow your craft?" Samuel's eyes narrowed, his tone sharp. "Overshadow? My craft's solid. Tamron, you're twisting my legacy into a soundbite." The stage was a powder keg, the crowd fueling the fire, as cameras zoomed in on Samuel's steely gaze and Tamron's raised eyebrow, setting the scene for a heated confrontation that would dominate headlines. Though no verified October 7, 2025, incident occurred, with real appearances focusing on his film promotion per IMDb and ABC clips. As Tamron Hall Show returned from a commercial break, the studio was a pressure cooker, the audience buzzing with excitement after the fiery opening exchange between Samuel L. Jackson and Tamron Hall. The set's warm, inviting backdrop felt almost ironic against the simmering tension, as Tamron tried to reset with her empathetic charm. "Welcome back, y'all, Samuel L. Jackson's here, and we're keeping it real." But Samuel, seated with his arms crossed, Kangol cap tilted, wasn't in the mood for pleasantries, his eyes locked on Tamron. "Real. Tamron, you've got more to say about my persona, let's hear it," he said, his voice dripping with challenge. The crowd gasped, and Tamron leaned forward, her smile strained but warm. "Samuel, I'm just curious, your tough guy roles are iconic, but don't you worry the cussing and intensity are a bit limiting for your range?" The question doubled down on her earlier probe, and Samuel's jaw tightened. "Limiting? Tamron, my range spans shaft to snakes on a plane, unlike your question stuck on stereotypes," he fired back, his gravelly tone slicing through the applause. The audience erupted, some cheering Samuel's defiance, others murmuring at the jab. Tamron, unfazed, raised an eyebrow. "Stereotypes? Samuel, you're giving us this larger-than-life vibe, don't act surprised when we ask if it's all you or a brand." The jab was sharp, and Samuel's voice rose, "Brand. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, not a logo, Tamron, my authenticity's not up for debate." The crowd roared, and Tiffany tried to intervene. "Samuel, your chemistry with Ryan Reynolds is fire, let's talk that." But Samuel waved her off. "No, Tiffany, I'm tired of Tamron painting me as some one-note tough guy for her show." The accusation landed like a punch, and Tamron's grin faltered, her tone sharpening, "One note. Samuel, I'm just doing my job, asking questions. You're the one getting defensive." The audience was in a frenzy, some chanting, "Samuel," while others clapped for Tamron's poise. Samuel leaned forward, his voice booming, "Defensive. You're implying I'm a caricature, Tamron, like I'm just a cussing meme." The crowd gasped, and Tamron's face reddened, her voice trembling with frustration, "Meme. Samuel, I'm your fan, but you're acting like I'm attacking your whole career." Samuel's eyes narrowed, his tone icy. "You are attacking me, Tamron, turning my craft into a punchline." "I thought this was Tamron Hall, not a roast." The studio was chaos, the audience on its feet, as the producers signaled frantically for the band to play. The music started, but it couldn't drown out the drama. Tamron, her hands gesturing, fired back, "Roast. Samuel, you're making this personal, acting like I'm the enemy. This is daytime TV." Samuel stood, his hands on his hips. "Daytime TV. You're using me for headlines, Tamron, and I'm not here for it." The crowd roared, and Tamron stood too, her voice booming, "Headlines. Samuel, you chose the spotlight, don't cry foul when I ask real questions." The audience gasped, and the cameras stayed locked on the two, capturing every moment of the escalating feud. Samuel's face contorted with fury, "Real questions? You're throwing shade to look clever, Tamron. I'm done." The producers, now in full panic, signaled for security, but the stage was a powder keg, and the fuse was burning fast, despite no verified 2025 clash occurring, per web sources like IMDb. The Tamron Hall Show studio was a battlefield, the air thick with the heat of the escalating clash between Samuel L. Jackson and Tamron Hall, the audience on the edge of their seats as the verbal duel reached a fever pitch. Samuel, now standing, loomed over the set, his Kangol cap a bold statement as he pointed at Tamron. "You think you're digging for truth, Tamron, but you're turning my career into your daytime circus. I'm not your soundbite machine." The crowd roared, split between those who admired Samuel's fire and those who respected Tamron's journalistic grit. Tamron, standing to match him, her voice sharp. "Circus. Samuel, you're serving up this larger-than-life persona, don't act shocked when I probe it." The jab was brutal, echoing unverified 2025 YouTube claims of Tamron questioning Samuel's authenticity, and Samuel's voice boomed, "Probe. You're accusing me of being a cartoon, Tamron, when I've got Oscars and respect." The audience gasped, and the band tried to play a light riff, but the noise was drowned out by the crowd's cheers. Tamron, her eyes glinting, fired back, "Cartoon. Samuel, your rants are viral gold, don't blame me for asking if they're calculated." The crowd gasped, and Samuel's face reddened, his voice trembling with fury, "Calculated. I've been real since Star Wars, Tamron, and I'm still standing." The insult was a direct hit, and Tamron's smile vanished, her tone icy, "Standing. You chose the public stage, Samuel, don't cry foul when I do my job." The studio was chaos, the audience on its feet, as Tiffany tried to regain control. "Samuel, your hitman chemistry is epic, let's focus there." Samuel, his fists clenched, snapped, "Epic. Tamron's twisting my legacy into clickbait, Tiffany, and I'm sick of it." The crowd roared, some chanting, "Samuel," while others shouted, "Tamron." As the tension skyrocketed, Tamron, her hands on her hips, shot back, "Clickbait. You gave us the script with your viral rants, Samuel, don't get mad when I read it." Samuel's voice rose to a shout, "Read it. You're attacking my integrity, Tamron, like I'm some Hollywood stereotype." The audience gasped, and Tamron's eyes narrowed, her voice booming, "Stereotype. I'm holding you accountable, Samuel, something your fans let you dodge." The jab was a low blow, and Samuel took a step closer, his voice a low growl, "Accountable. You're just chasing views, Tamron, and I'm not your prop." The crowd was in a frenzy, sensing the climax, as Tamron fired back, "Prop. This is Tamron Hall, Samuel, if you can't handle the heat, there's the door." Samuel's eyes flashed with fury, his voice a shout, "Heat. You went too far, Tamron." He slammed his hand on the desk, the sound echoing through the studio, and turned toward the wings, his strides purposeful. The audience roared, some cheering his exit, others booing Tamron's audacity, as security moved in, unsure whether to follow. The cameras stayed locked on Samuel, capturing the moment that would dominate headlines, though no verified 2025 clash occurred, with real appearances being promotional per ABC clips. The producers, in full panic mode, signaled for the band to play, but the music couldn't drown out the chaos, as Samuel paused at the edge, turning back with a blazing glare, "My craft's real, not your headline." As Samuel L. Jackson's silhouette vanished into the wings of the Tamron Hall Show studio, the set descended into pandemonium, the audience's cheers and boos merging into a deafening roar that echoed through the vibrant New York space. Tamron Hall stood behind her desk, her face a mix of shock and resolve, as the band played a frantic riff to cover the awkward silence. "Well, folks, that's what happens when passion meets truth on Tamron Hall," she quipped, trying to regain control, but her voice betrayed a hint of unease. The crowd laughed, but the tension lingered, some chanting, "Samuel!" in solidarity, others applauding Tamron's journalistic nerve. Backstage, the producers were in a frenzy, their headsets crackling with urgent orders as they debated whether to cut to a pre-taped segment or let Tamron ride out the storm. The cameras, still rolling, caught Tamron adjusting her notes, her smile returning as she addressed the chaos. "All right, everyone, Samuel's a legend, and we love that fire, let's give him a hand." The crowd complied, but it was half-hearted, the room still reeling from the drama. Social media was already ablaze, with clips of the confrontation going viral, fans and critics dissecting every word, every gesture. Some praised Samuel for standing up to Tamron's perceived shade, calling his walk-off and parting words, "My craft's real, not your headline," a bold stand against media scrutiny, while others accused him of overreacting, unable to handle tough questions, as seen in X posts about celebrity sensitivity. The narrative was spiraling, just as Samuel had warned, his words about being framed as a caricature proving prophetic, though no verified 2025 clash occurred, with real interviews focusing on his film per Variety and IMDb. Tamron, sensing the moment slipping, tried to pivot, "Let's talk Hitman's Bodyguard 3, it's a thrill ride." But the audience wasn't ready to move on, their energy still tied to the clash. Backstage, Samuel was whisked away by his team, the paparazzi already swarming the studio exits, hungry for a soundbite. The producers, now in damage control mode, cued a pre-taped film clip, but the crowd wasn't buying it, they wanted more of the raw, unfiltered chaos they'd just witnessed. Tamron, ever the professional, powered through, chatting with Tiffany about the next topic, but her usual warmth felt strained. The internet was merciless, with hashtags like #Samuel vs Tamron and #Hall Showdown trending within minutes, alongside memes of Samuel's desk slam and Tamron's stunned expression. The confrontation had tapped into a larger cultural nerve, actor versus host, authenticity versus scrutiny, craft versus headlines. For Samuel, it was a stand against being reduced to a meme, a moment of defiance that would fuel his narrative of realness. For Tamron, it was another day in the daytime TV arena, where her probing style sometimes pushed guests to the edge. As the show wrapped, Tamron signed off with a wry smile, "Thanks for watching, folks. Come back tomorrow, maybe we'll keep everyone on set." The crowd laughed, but the moment belonged to Samuel's eruption, a shocking exit that would dominate headlines for weeks, despite being unsubstantiated by evidence per web sources.